Tonight at 11, this is a fascinating trend, though. So more Americans are leaving the United States for good, according to international experts.
Yeah, so chief investigative reporter Eric Flack, he packed a bag and went in search of the reasons why Americans are leaving America.
This is a special security announcement.
Do you ever think about hopping on a plane and never coming back? Corey and Matthew Strunk from Calvert County have.
We have joked that, oh my gosh, we have got to get out of here.
Jen Dewberry from Prince George's County, too.
Wouldn't it be something to be the granny who lives in Portugal?
International travel experts say they aren't alone. Americans' interest in moving out of the U.S. is on the rise. So I hopped a plane and traveled to a Living Abroad conference in Atlanta to find out why.
I think people are beginning to wonder if the U.S. is as great as they always thought it was.
Jennifer Stevens is the executive director for International Living, a worldwide resource for Americans moving overseas.
And when we talk about these modern conveniences,
In October, International Living hosted this boot camp for people looking to retire abroad.
Where are you from?
Texas.
Texas.
You?
Okay. Maryland.
Hundreds paid for access to information on everything from buying a home in another country to finding an expat community in dozens of overseas nations.
So countries are reacting to this trend.
Absolutely.
And recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Countries are doing that.
Recruiting, Stevens says, by loosening restrictions on travel and work visas, allowing Americans to live abroad for years without renewing the visa, or in some cases, indefinitely.
Will this be forever?
This is forever.
Becky Gommel and her husband live in Marble Falls, Texas, but are planning to leave in the next 12 to 24 months.
Not sure if you have the answer to this. Schools. As a joke, he had said if President Biden got elected, we're gone. We're out of here. And it happened.
And you're out of here.
And we're out of here.
In fact, politics are pushing Americans on both sides of the aisle to pack their bags. International Living reported a 1,000% increase in web traffic after Roe Versus Wade was overturned. Meanwhile, the 2016 election of Donald Trump, George Floyd protests, and the COVID-19 pandemic all significantly drove up clicks for Where Can I Live, a consulting business for people who need help with the logistics of moving to another country.
Moving abroad for most people is a huge undertaking.
I zoomed in Where Can I Live CEO Allison Johnson from her home in Barcelona, Spain. She told me politics and divisiveness aren't the only factors pushing Americans to leave the U.S.
These include cost of living in general, especially at the moment. Cost of healthcare comes up so often. Safety and security, especially those with smaller kids.
But back at that conference in Atlanta, people I spoke with said the moving abroad trend is less about people who are fed up with our country and more about Americans looking for a different life experience. And then there are the growing number of digital nomads, Americans who can work remotely, even internationally post-pandemic.
It was more like, okay, I don't have to make a lot of money. I don't have to work too hard.
Jessica Ramesh now calls Panama home.
I think that there's always a risk when you're running from instead of running to. And I think your reasons for going abroad have to be deeper than that.
Okay, so the State Department told us they can't say how many Americans are currently living abroad. U.S. citizens are not required to register travel to a foreign country. Now, previous State Department estimates put the number around 9 million people, including active military members stationed abroad. Well, Sunday night at 11 o'clock, Eric will look into a growing movement to recruit voters who are not living in the U.S. anymore. Again, Sunday night at 11 o'clock.